tail lights. More specifically, 67 tail lights. Even more specifically, 67 Rally Sport tail lights. My name's Corey, this is Austin. We're gonna install some tail lights for you here today. All right, so while Austin's over there getting all the tools ready, I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna be installing these two different tail light kits. You can see we have a more plug and play option here. And then after we get done with this one, we'll pull these out and go ahead and put these Digi-Tails in here. These are a sequential LED tail light kit. They have like cascading lighting options for you. It's a little more involved, but we're gonna get it done. Let's get to it. All right, before we get going here, in case you don't know, these are Rally Sport tail lights. You can see here, the brake light and turn signal are all one piece, and then down here in the bottom are your reverse lights. If you have standard lights, that's all gonna be one piece up here. Yeah, make sure you know which one you need before you place your order. First up, we got these plug and play LED tail lights. You can see here, these just plug right into where the sockets go. Pretty simple. You know, Austin's over here gonna plug these, and we're gonna get these bolted in real quick, show you what those look like, and then we'll get on to the more complex stuff. Okay. All right, you can see here, we have just the standard issue. This one has been modified a little bit. This car was in pretty rough shape, so everything's been modified a little bit. But as you can see here, this is just your standard issue bulb. We're just gonna pull that out and then plug these in, and then put the lenses back in here, and you should be good to go. All right, so after you get all those nuts and washers and everything off here, you gotta give these a pretty good little whack to get these out of here. Out they come. All right, all we're doing is pulling this tail light housing apart so we can wedge our lens in there. Remove the old lens and then put the new one in. Basically, all you're doing is pulling this old lens out and replacing this with your old lens in this house. Unfurl your wires here. Goes right in.
There is an up and down.
There is an up and down. Then you'll just go gasket back on. And we'll run our wires through here. Then just bolt it all back together. All right, you might be wondering why you'd want to upgrade to LED taillights. There's a couple reasons. Safety, number one. They're going to be a little more reliable once you get them all hooked up. You know, the LEDs have a lot longer life than your standard issue bulbs. Also, you know, a lot of these old housings, these are old cars, so they're going to be powder basically. You get these LEDs and throw them in there, and you don't have to worry about, you know, your old bulb housings or anything like that coming apart on you. Also, they just kind of look cool. The cascading effects of the lights, you know, when you hit that turn signal, you can make them go left to right, or right to left, depending, I guess, on which side you're turning on. And when you hit the brakes on these Digi-Tails ones, you can make them start from the middle and go out, or several different things. Don't want to be showing up to a car show having your taillights burn out right when you get there because some old plastic housing has rotted its way through on the drive over. It's also worth mentioning that if you do have the Rally Sport headlights, or tail lights, sorry, that if you want to do your reverse lights, you are going to have to order some separate stuff. It's a different kit. These are only the turn signals, brake lights, and your emergency lights. Everything on this car is aftermarket. I don't know if you've seen the condition of this before it got rebuilt, but it was basically a complete another rust bucket. So sometimes parts don't line up exactly right. Basically what I'm doing is pulling this inner shroud out of here, and then I'm shrinking it down. It's got this little gap. I'm just gonna take a pair of pliers, just shrink it down just a little bit. And that'll let it get a better fit on this. It goes back in here.
A little finessing.
Yeah, a little finessing. I said, well, half of one is working. That brake light works.
So the housings on your car, on all 67s, probably 8 and 9, they have to ground through the housing. When you snap that plug in, that's the only way it gets ground.
Yeah, so it won't function until these are actually plugged in.
There's a metal piece on there.
Yeah, you can see right here.
Yep.
We have this metal piece right here. When I touch it to the housing, your light comes on out here.
Yeah, just ground issues.
Yep.
They all do it, every one of them.
We got one that's bright.
I don't know why that one's brighter. The plug-ins in the car were the metal piece that goes around that bulb was too far away from the actual prongs in the bottom of the plug-in. So I just pushed it down as far as it'll go and bent the tabs a little bit in.
So when we were just installing these, I have one turned around backwards. It's basically this piece right here that was on the inside of the headlight or the tail light here. I had them flipped and they were touching the wrong,
Right side of the bulb.
the bright side of the bulb, yeah. So this tail light this piece of this tail light right here was super bright. Austin just flipped them around, and as you can see here, they are looking good.
They working?
They are indeed.
All right, so let me do it again.
Now that we got these done, we're gonna move on to the little more complex set here. We're gonna have to do some splicing into the wire harness. All you really have to do is find a 12 volt and a ground source, so it shouldn't be too difficult, but you know how things can go. Now that we've got those plug and play options out, we're gonna dive into this. As you can see here, it's a little more complex. Don't let it intimidate you, it's not that bad. All you're really gonna need to do is tap into a 12 volt power source and run a ground, drill a couple holes in this. It's really not that bad. As you can see here, these are these sequential cascading LEDs. You can see all the individual ones on here. Should look pretty good once we get it installed. Me and Austin are gonna get it cracking. So we're ready to start putting these sequential lights in. Couple things, you're going to need your old lens. Don't get rid of that. All you basically do is pull this all apart. We're gonna trim this piece out of the gasket here so this will lay flat. And then this just basically sits in here like this. You can see these holes line up. We'll have to drill another hole for this one right here. And then you plug it in right here and it runs out this hole right here. And then that'll just plug straight into your system. Also here you can see you have your sequential and non-sequential mode. If you just want them to be standard issue tail lights, put them over on non. But if you want them to do the flip it over to sequential. So me and Austin are gonna get these mounted in here. And then after we get these all mounted up, we're gonna get wiring and try to splice it on the inside. Another thing to know, if you're moving over from bulbs to LEDs, the LEDs are gonna draw a lot less power. So you have to put in one of these flasher fuses. Austin's already done that in this car. Basically all this does is make sure that these lights operate functional or properly. If you don't have this, you're gonna have too much power going to these. They'll be super bright, might blow them out, whatever. They just won't work. All right, the first thing I'm gonna go ahead and do is just plug this in right here. And then run this out here. And then we'll try to get it all squared and laid up to where it needs to go. And then Austin and I are gonna mark these holes and we're gonna punch a hole out. First step. So Austin is over there drilling out the other one. But as you can see here, we bored out 2 of them and drilled 1 new one to a 1/4 inch. But you can see they just snap right through here. And then you put the nylon washer in between the body of this assembly and the LED panel. It's gonna be fairly important just for vibration and keeping it off there. In addition to drilling out the housing and boring out a couple of the holes in the housing, you're gonna have to bore out these holes right here and this one here in the middle to a 1/4 inch to accommodate for these black connector pieces right here. They won't quite go through there. We had no issues drilling them out just to a 1/4 inch. But after that, all you have to do is just slap it on this guy, then we'll bolt it all together and get going on the inside of the car here. Now we're just gonna put these rubber grommets in. Obviously we don't have anything coming out of this side, so we'll just push that one right in there. And then before you toss this one in, take a look, make sure you've selected sequential or non-sequential, whichever one you want. You can access it right there. And then all you're gonna do is split this, put your wires down through the middle, and then just shove that son of a gun in there. Voila. Ready to go back in. All right, now that we've got all the housing assembly done, next we're gonna start splicing into the wire harness. These are for your, passenger, driver, and running lights. And then these are just gonna be your ground and your 12 volt power source. All right, so we pulled the seal plate, we pulled the back seat out, we got access to the wires. We found a hot right here. We're just gonna tie into it and then run it through the back. Okay, so we've got the wire tied in. You can see we've got it wrapped really well. You wanna make sure you've got that wire, insulated because it is hot. And then we've routed it right up through here. I don't know if you can see it with some black tape, and then we're gonna just come through the trunk and hook them up to the lights.
Now we're going to run the wire that we just ran in from the seat area back to the back, and we want to run it nicely, just like the harness is in the car. We want to run it right with them wires. Yeah, you can come straight up through here and come back here around, and we'll be good to go.
Wrap it around.
Yep.
All we're doing right now is just setting these in here, and then we're going to tap into this wire harness and make sure everything's right before we make it permanent.
There's the parking lights.
Hey! And they do
Okay.
look pretty good.
But since this car has constant hot, why can't we come over here and run the original wires?
That'll go into there, and then this will give us,
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and wire that one there to where they're on. If the battery runs down, we'll charge it back up.
It's just a little bit of trial and error, huh?
Yeah,
yeah, that's what we're doing
gonna
right now. We're just figuring it out before we nail everything down completely.
Once we get how they work down, then we'll chop this harness down real nice, and
Yeah,
he'll
clean it all up.
get her looking good.
Yeah. Passenger side over here, you're going to use your green connector and your brown connector. All you're doing is this is straight where the old bulb came out. We stripped these wires green to green, brown to brown on the passenger side. And then if you go over there and look, you just have yellow to yellow and brown to brown on this side. And then your hot wire runs over and you connect it to your hot from the body, both sides. In addition, obviously there's 2 spots for the old taillight bulbs. We're just gonna leave this as is, tuck it up under the carpet nice and neat in case there's anything we need to do with it in the future. You could just delete them, but we're just gonna let it ride. There she blows.
That wasn't too bad.
I might say the trickiest thing when wiring is always the wiring. You know what I mean? Finding that hot, that constant 12, somewhere to tie into the car is probably the most difficult. Yep.
That's it. Man, that's awesome. That is awesome.
Okay, so all we've done is, like I said before, we've tied into our 12-volt hot wire into the car, run it back here. You basically run that 12-volt hot to both tail lights. Then once you come over here, you're going to take one of your bulb connectors, cut that on the right side. You're going to wire it up according to this diagram. And on the left side, you're going to do the same. Now, as you can see, this still looks a little messy. Austin's going to clean that up later, but fully functioning, this is how you install it. It's that easy. All right, that's going to do it for this Tech Tuesday. Stop back by and see us again for the next one.